it won't be enough for Meghan and it won't be enough for Harry. And she will just go off, and her next step is a billionaire.
Breaking today, Paul Burrell, who for a long time was Princess Diana's rock and is still in many ways a royal insider given his connections to courtiers within the family, has revealed that Meghan Markle plans to leave Prince Harry to become a billionaire and run for the governor of California. Now, I know a lot of you will be thinking, that sounds mental. But actually, what Paul Burrell says here in this new interview with the Daily Mail, who have been serializing his book, by the way, which is why he sat down with them, matches up with the reporting that I have been doing for some time. Watch this.
The two cultures which came together in the marriage of Harry and Meghan, there's a fault line down the middle of it. And I feel that will crack one day. Think about it. Harry came from this very busy world of the royal family with lots to do. Even in his spare time, he could play polo and do whatever he wanted. He sat in Montecito, twiddling his thumbs, thinking, what do I do next? What is my role? Where is my work? And I think that will wear thin in time. As Meghan rises in Netflix firmament into whatever she will do, fashion, beauty, whatever, jam,
politics,
wine,
maybe?
Politics,
Yeah.
marry a, well, eventually. I think it won't be enough for Meghan and it won't be enough for Harry. And she will just go off, and her next step is a billionaire. Because she's got millions, so why not step up to a billionaire? And why not go for politics? Why not become governor of California?
Absolutely. He is right. I'm going to be talking to P. Diner very shortly, actually, about Meghan Markle's ambitions when it comes to politics. They haven't gone away. And yes, right now her popularity is rock bottom, but she's seen people turn it around. The first thing you need in American politics is name recognition. And Paul Burrell is also right to say that Meghan is always looking for the next thing. Harry is not going to make her a billionaire. Prince Harry will not make Meghan Markle a billionaire. She wants to be a billionaire if it's the last thing she does. Those marmalade, pot, they're not going to make her a billionaire, trust me. So who will? A new man. At some point, if it's offered up, it might happen. That is why she is constantly meeting new billionaires whenever she can. What was interesting too, and remember Paul Burrell does have some insight into Prince Harry, even though he last saw him face to face, he says, in 2017, I believe. But he obviously spent a lot of time with him as a boy, and he claims that when Prince Harry first met the duplicitous fake Duchess, he didn't see Meghan Markle, he saw his mother.
I truly believe that when he met Meghan, she whispered into his ear, a 36-year-old mature woman whispered into his ear, Harry, you and I could change the world. And I don't think he heard Meghan's voice. I think he heard his mother's voice. And that's what he was searching for. He was searching for the love which he had with his mother.
He was, and it's sad. But I would argue what's particularly sad is the fact that Meghan Markle knew that. And she manipulated him because of that. Then, when she got everything that she wanted, right? Everything that she wanted within the royal family, she realized, oh, holy shit, no. Catherine's the biggest star. Catherine's going to be queen. I can't deal with that. Here's Paul's take. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
Because you believe that Meghan Markle thought she was marrying into a sort of a starring role in the royal family, and then, but then it became apparent that Catherine, as the wife of William to the heir, was the real star wife, and then and she struggled with that.
Yes, I don't think Meghan ever considered being a supporting actress. I think she wanted to be a star.
And Paul Burrell is now calling on King Charles to strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their titles. Watch.
Do you foresee, on the day of the ascension of William to be king, that he will strip Harry and Meghan of their titles?
That's interesting, isn't it? I've thought about that, but that would only make Meghan a princess.
Right.
Because the royal titles were bestowed on Meghan and Harry by the Queen. The Queen gave them the dukedom of Sussex, which made Meghan a duchess. That is a gift, a royal gift. That can be taken away. What can't be taken away is the title prince. Harry was born a prince. So if the titles duke and duchess were taken away from Meghan and Harry, Meghan would become Princess Meghan.
Right.
What's the worst of the two evils?
To Lauren Lunn-Farrow now, behind the brilliant new YouTube channel, Lauren Lunn-Farrow Media, where she exposes what really goes on in the mainstream media, including in the royal family. So Paul Burrell is an interesting character in a lot of ways, Lauren, and he really divides opinion. I mean, Lady Colin Campbell, who's another regular with us here on Outspoken, she can't stand him. She doesn't believe a lot of what he's written in his book. And we're going to go through the book actually line by line with Lady C to call some of this out. But when it comes to his reporting and his intelligence on Meghan Markle, certainly when he talks about her political ambitions, her desire to be governor of California one day, I actually believe it's still to be US president, and also the fact that she hasn't ruled out trying to find a billionaire, given that Harry doesn't seem to be putting her on that path. It's spot on, Lauren. And I think what people have to realize is even though Paul Burrell hasn't worked within the royal family himself for a long time, he is still in contact with so many of the people who do, the courtiers, the footmen, who we don't know the names of, but who see everything.
Yeah. I'm personally not a fan of Paul Burrell, but like you say, there is no denying that he's still got really strong links. So he does have insights as to what's going on. He also knows exactly how the system works. And I would argue that despite the fact that I'm not a fan of him, you know, he can probably get the measure of people very well, people that come and go within, you know, the royal circles. And I think he's right in what he's saying about Meghan. Meghan and politics, she could be good because she's disingenuous. And one thing she would have in common with politicians is they don't speak the truth and they're not liked. But I would really be so concerned if Meghan did become a politician, but I don't think it's off the table. And I agree with you about her chasing that billionaire status, because I think, remember that what Harry and Meghan want you to think is it's all about the family and it's all about, you know, the important things that matter in life. They love their dog, all of this absolute rubbish, because it goes against everything that they actually do. They had the opportunity to live a very lovely, quiet life where they could probably have come in and out of the fold and it would have worked well. However, they have done nothing but chase money and fame and power. And so everything that they claim is important to them, it can't be, because if it truly was, they could have lived in a nice house, had a private life, you know, occasionally been in the public eye. They could have done all the charity work, which they claim is so important to them behind the scenes. But no, they want to be pulling out fake allotment produce from a rented house. They want to live in their house with 15 bathrooms, and they don't want to live in the real world because they are not driven by a life of purpose.
No, they're absolutely not. And Lauren, what we're learning this week, by the way, And again, I mean, I've been on this for a long time. Lady C's been on this for a long time. Angela Levin's been on this for a long time. The mainstream media sort of ignore it. But the money troubles are now acute because the problem is, Lauren, obviously Harry had money that for most of us would, of course, last us a lifetime over and over and over again. But they decided to move to an area where they had to live a billionaire's lifestyle, where they had to have private jets, where they had to have private security. And their outgoings are just vast. And Shooter Scoop has reported this week that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are actually quietly cutting costs because he writes life in Montecito just isn't adding up anymore. And sources now tell Shooter Scoop that the Sussexes are facing the harsh reality that they can't live like a king and queen without a royal paycheck. An insider tells them the money just isn't coming in the way it used to. The Spotify deal is gone, Netflix is cooled, and the big cash cow they counted on hasn't materialized. They're tightening belts. Although he obviously does point out you shouldn't feel sorry for them, given that there was, the inheritance from Princess Diana, £10 million, another £7 million received from the late Queen Mother when Harry turned 40. But he writes, still, Montecito mansions and private jet travel burn through millions faster than a trust fund can replenish. They've realised they need to downsize their lifestyle if they want to make this work long term. Another Powell shares. And Lauren, that is the issue. Meghan Markle doesn't want to have to downsize. The dream is collapsing. And financially, they're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, that the outgoings are huge. These people truly live in a different world to all of us. Why would you need 15 bathrooms? I'll tell you why. Because it's ego. That is the only reason. The cost of living this kind of lifestyle and keeping up appearances is astronomical. You cannot earn enough money to cover these outgoings unless you are a billionaire. And to be a billionaire, you have to diversify, you have to be incredibly smart and savvy. And Meghan Markle is not a businesswoman, and Harry is not a businessman. He has only started working and apparently been financially independent for a handful of years. It's almost like they're children that have just been given some money and have got really overexcited with it, but they actually are not behaving like adults whatsoever.
No, they're not. But it was quite funny this week, Lauren, thinking about Meghan's utter fury as Netflix went all in on this new Victoria Beckham documentary project. And Lauren, this is going to be a huge hit. I just know it. I know it. And it's so obvious that Netflix know it too, right? Because they are giving this, Lauren, and obviously you've got a lot of experience in this given your background in the PR industry, but they are giving this documentary the type of publicity and marketing push that Meghan could have only dreamed of. They just knew with Love Meghan Series 2 was going to be a flop, so they didn't even bother.
I mean, look, everything about this is a huge show for Netflix. They are releasing it in the fourth quarter. This is where, it's an incredibly competitive time. You would save your biggest releases for this time of year. They've got an Emmy award-winning team on it. And also, we love Victoria Beckham. Victoria Beckham is someone that you're not going to hear her moaning like Harry and Meghan about the game and the press. And whilst it is no secret that I cannot stand the mainstream media, I think Victoria Beckham deals with them incredibly well. She understands that it's not always going to be positive coverage. It's a bit like a wave. It's going to come and go, and she rides that wave incredibly well. She knows how to work with the press. She knows how to manipulate the press, but I mean that in the nicest possible way. And, very rarely, I don't think I've ever met anyone in the industry that hasn't got a great story to tell about Victoria Beckham. She's funny. She's actually very down to earth and hugely professional. And she has grafted to make her name in the fashion industry. She didn't walk into having a multi-million pound fashion house. She has put the time and the work in behind the scenes. And this is a fashion business that has only recently started making profit. She has been plugging away in the background, and she knew she had to earn her stripes. And this is going to be such a great documentary. It's 3 parts. And I think, I love Victoria Beckham. I just think Meghan Markle should take a masterclass in how to conduct yourself by Victoria Beckham. I mean, she never would, but this is how you do it.
But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixers on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. He says they hardly make a dent on your appearance. Some, check this out, can even be harmful to your skin. Recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices so he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. He describes it as almost like Photoshop for your face and says you may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public. It's free, it's uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. And he says if it helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, he will be thrilled knowing he helped. The video has since gone viral. At first it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. The comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. One even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out more about this yourself right now. Just go to bhmd1.com/outspoken. That's bhmd1.com/outspoken, or click on the link in the description box below. Now, there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So go watch the video at bhmd1.com/outspoken right now, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show. Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting. I have really mixed views on Victoria Beckham and the way that they have done business. But you are right. I mean, when I've met her personally, she is always very funny, but she plays a very different game. The difference is they're not pretending they're something they're not. And I think that's a really fundamental thing. And also, she's not going into full-time business with Netflix. That's the difference. And I think that's why this will be a really big hit. The problems are really coming for Meghan Markle with this, though, because, of course, the Beckhams are in full-on competition with the Sussexes now. We know that. And we know that, Lauren, because Meghan made this ludicrous claim that Victoria Beckham had been selling stories on her, and that's what caused the fallout. And it's like, trust me, if you know anything about Victoria Beckham, she doesn't sell stories. She has had a very difficult relationship with the tabloid press for lots of reasons. It was totally farcical, this idea that she was selling stories. And Meghan bought into it. And then do you remember Harry actually snubbed David and his 2 sons when they flew all the way out to Australia for the Invictus Games? And it was such a strategic decision, because this is where I think Charles and William have been clever, because of course Charles and Harry sort of used to share the relationship with David Beckham. They worked with him, I think, to secure the Football World Cup, or try and secure the Football World Cup, secure the Olympics. They sort of had it was like one of those mutual friendships. But what was able to happen, as soon as Harry turned on David, William brought him back into the fold. Then, because David was so desperate for the knighthood, he agreed to form this very close relationship with King Charles and would turn up anywhere the royal family asked them to turn up. And in fact, they have now provided that little sprinkling of glamour that the royal family maybe misses every now and then. I mean, I don't think Harry and Meghan gave that much glamour. But, I think Victoria and David actually bring more glamour, you could argue. So they've even been invited to state dinners. We don't know if they'll attend the state dinner with Donald Trump next week. That might be considered too political for David and Victoria. I'm not sure. But the point is, they were so stupid. Harry and Meghan were so stupid to treat them like such shit, because now their loyalties, which previously were divided, are now 100% Team Royal. And they love the fact that Victoria's Netflix numbers will humiliate Meghan, for example.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think Meghan, to accuse Victoria Beckham of leaking or selling stories is so unbelievable. I mean, this is Victoria Beckham is mixing with people that are so much greater in terms of power, influence, and fame than Meghan Markle. It just shows how out of touch Meghan Markle is. And I also think it shows that, instead of Meghan just saying, oh, this is a story, it's false, she always has to blame someone. She has to lash out at someone. I just think it's, absolutely ridiculous. I would make the point, though, that whilst I like Victoria Beckham, let's not forget what David Beckham said when he wasn't given or he wasn't put on the honours list at a time. He's been desperate for his knighthood. And so I love Victoria Beckham. I think she holds that family together. But I think David has, been desperate.
Oh yeah, there's a big time strategy with what David Beckham has done. But the difference is, Lauren, and obviously you're someone who knows all about this because you had to do these strategies for celebrities in the past. The difference is he pulled it off. So, for example, when we saw Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield skip the queue to go and see the Queen's coffin, their reputation never recovered. And so it was a PR masterstroke for David Beckham to stand in that line, knowing that he would be photographed, knowing that it would get lots of attention. And in the end, it worked out because he got the knighthood that he wanted, despite, the fact that there were all of these issues raised previously about, his financial arrangements and the Becky Leaks email, which, as you say, did point out that he was sort of saying to his charities, oh, you pay for that effing private jet. Why the hell does that effing coke snorting Catherine Jenkins have an OBE and I don't? That was the real David Beckham. But the point is, he's had a good PR strategy.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a great PR strategy, the Beckhams. And that picture of him waiting in the queue was genius, and the source quotes I remember at the time, he'd stood through the night and, there was a older lady next to him and he chatted. They know how to play the game. And, I won't take that away from them because it is, if you're going to be in that industry and you're going to monetize it and you're going to, ultimately get the public to part with money for your benefit, then you have to play that game. And they've done it very, very well in a way that Meghan and Harry cannot and will never be able to do.
Yeah, and especially now, because I think the other thing that David Beckham always knew was respect whoever the monarch is. So he had huge respect for the late Queen Elizabeth II, huge respect for Prince Philip. Now he has huge respect for King Charles, huge respect for Queen Camilla. And of course, the problem is that we know Harry and Meghan had no respect for any of those people. And we will not forget that, no matter how hard they are trying to make us forget it. Can we speak about Catherine? Because again, the mainstream media have just been so awful to her at the moment, and I really don't like it. The latest thing they've done is really target her hair. But Catherine did a lovely engagement where she very much, I would say, bounced back because everyone's talking about the hair. Is it extensions? Is it a wig? All of that awful stuff. And this was so brilliant. I mean, I know nothing about hair, Lauren, so this really is one for you, okay? I always say, I know nothing about fashion, nothing about hair, nothing about makeup, But the women in my life are telling me this is actually quite a difficult thing to do, what she's doing here, like put her hair in a bun without any sort of mirror or anything like that. And
Yeah.
all of these people who are trying to be so mean and say that, oh, you know, the hair's all been set up and it's a wig and all of that. Well, why would she do that at an engagement if she was thinking so much about it? Do you see what I mean?
It's not a wig, it's not extensions. I think, to be honest, the picture on the right, I think is probably just quite a bad blow dry. Sometimes, as I'm sure many of your female viewers like me have had a bit of a big blow dry before, and your hair just needs a kind of a day or so to kind of calm down. I just look this footage of Catherine. She's just real and getting on with it. You know, you're not seeing her in a highly curated state. She's just putting her hair back. And I just think she is the people's princess. I think that's why we love her.
And why were the media? I mean, we know this is all part of a wider thing, right? At the moment. So the media are really turning the screws on William and Catherine. They don't like the fact that they're not marching to the beat of their drum, especially the Daily Mail, but we have seen it spread across some other mainstream organizations. Is that why they decided to be so nasty about the hair? It's almost like at the moment they're just looking for anything.
They're looking for anything because you will never see the mainstream press be complimentary or positive about all members of the royal family. For their for-profit business to work, they have to go on negative news. So just to say that, you know, Catherine looks amazing and she's better than ever and is full of energy, they've kind of conditioned their readers to want really toxic negative news. So they have to create something out of nothing. They seem to be letting Harry's narrative breathe because Charles has stepped in and made sure of that. And so who's for the chopping board? It's William and Catherine, and they've got nothing to pick on Catherine about. And so they choose something which is also utterly awful, considering she has just been battling cancer and then they want to pick on her hair. You know, these mainstream media outlets need to start thinking that how many people around the country, like Catherine, have been battling cancer, and what does this say to their readers? It's horrible.
Indeed, it really is. And this is why we need voices like yours, Lauren Lunn-Farrow Media, who is now obviously on YouTube, obviously on X, but now you can watch her full analysis on her brilliant new YouTube channel, Lauren Lunn-Farrow Media. But we always love having you here on Outspoken, Lauren. Thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend. Thank you. And of course, if you do want first access to our Royal Uncancelled after show, twice the length of what you've just seen, then please do sign up to my Substack. The address is www.outspoken.live. You will get first access, either live or on demand, whichever you prefer. And this is what a lot of people like. No advertising whatsoever. What I love about Substack is it is a free speech platform. The way that it operates is I'm protected from big tech cancellation. I'm protected from lawfare. You can also communicate with me directly there. It really is a community. So if you like it all, what I'm doing on Outspoken, if you support what I do, if you can support me on Substack, I would be so grateful. The website address, www.outspoken.live. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.